Hello and welcome to another video. So today we're going to be taking a look at an Amulet Haven based deck. So this deck again has lots of room for refinement, and because these videos are being made on launch day, I haven't had time to go through and do everything I would like to do. So we'll start with the first one that I've got here, is Staircase of Paradise, neutral amulet, 1-drop, mainly just to restock your hand. I mean, you're running enough followers that getting that restock is pretty alright. I mean, you're going to pretty much guarantee a Prism, Priest, Radiance, Winged, or Heresy Avatar, which is pretty good. The Red Hot Boots is your 2-drop amulet, deal 3. It also has a nice ability, especially if you are playing it in the later areas of the game, where Heresy allows you to actually deal 4 total to 1 follower and then 1 to everything else, so this works as a nice 2-drop board clear. Sacred Plea, obviously, being your standard draw. Hollow Dogma procs most of your amulets. Black Inscription, banishing a lot of pain in the ass early game stuff, and even some late game stuff that might cause you trouble. Beastical Aria, another pretty standard card in most amulet based decks. This is where I've messed around just a little bit. Healing Prayer and Star Torrent, I've got 1 of each. You could run 2 of either, or you could run 3 of 1, or any combination of numbers by just messing around with them a little bit. I've got something in the deck that can easily do 1 to everything, whereas if I'm coming up against, say, a mirror match or a longer game, I know I've got that heal along with the proc as well, which is just as good. So having 1 of each, which allows for basically 2 3-drops that proc amulets with slightly different effects, is a nice little bit of versatility and just works out really well. Of course, Priest, another good banish card. I always love having Priest in my decks when I can. Tribunal, pretty self-explanatory, just random removal. March Hare's Tea Time, pretty much a staple in all Haven decks, especially something like Amulet. 3 Radiance, it's a draw and a heal with a bit of a body. Winged Sentinel, can't go wrong, procs your amulets, good with Beast Call, can do up to 5 damage there. Can also deal 6 if you've got March Hare and an extra evolve, so great for those sort of combos, along with just being able to proc general amulets. Like if you have Tarnished Grail and haven't managed to get Avatar out, which normally you're not really doing that, then Winged is quite nice just to proc Grail. Otherwise, here's Avatar's the main core. You get to 7, you play this, every single element in the entire deck then gets procced straight away, which is pretty much perfect. So we'll get right into some games and check this deck out. So our first game against Rune. Like I stated at the beginning, all these are made day 1 of the expansion, so don't expect all the decks to be very well refined, and they all have room for improvement. So, starting off with a pretty average hand, Tarnished Grail not being the best thing to have in your opener, but the Sacred Plea and Hollow Dogma are pretty much perfect, so keeping those in your early game is always a beneficial thing to do, pretty much against any class. So this is an Earthright rune. Earthright runes are not hard to deal with most decks, which isn't too surprising. Also, a lot of games don't tend to go into the super late area of the game, so it's pretty good for that. I mean, once you play Heresy's Avatar, they're pretty much guaranteed to have to target it. So as long as you can fill your hand as much as you can with draw power, use things like Staircase if you are running low. I'm actually thinking of maybe even dropping Staircase, as it's just not that beneficial and I might be able to put something better in, but as a card I definitely want to have an option of testing, which is what this deck was all about. Experimentation and enjoyment. So this game is definitely one that was pushing the limits of what I could have in my hand. I was quite honestly up against the wall when it comes to having too many cards a lot of the time. There's a lot that I did not play, and there's a lot that I had to play just because I needed to free up space. Like, I probably would have played Staircase if my hand wasn't already chock-a-block full, so. Starseeker Telescopes, they just keep playing those. I'm not really doing anything else, which isn't too surprising. Pretty much gives me the chance to just go face, build my board, keep my hand size reasonably large to deal with any kind of confrontation from them.
Unbelievable! No!
You'll find a lot of these games ending like concedes because the opponent just obviously can't deal with what I'm playing.
I'm just amazed.
That's not too uncommon when I'm playing Haven like this.
It's just like back in the old days.
Now of course the Tribunal is usually what you're using as a finisher, but Here's Avatar also works nicely as the finisher. because most players will try and avoid killing it off. And unless you're in a mirror match, it's unlikely to be banishable. Or easily banishable, I should say. So, a good lethal. I managed to go for a turn 6 lethal at this stage, being able to have enough cards and enough damage. Our second game against Snakeblood with the Rider leader. Pretty cool. I honestly don't mind the look of the artwork. It still feels a little out of place, similar to like how the what was it? The Shadowverse Street Fighter crossover ones kind of feel out of place. I mean, they just don't look quite right. And I'm guessing it's just the art styles because they're just that slightly different. But that's just a personal view. So we get to play Staircase in this one. We didn't have much else in our hand that was useful, so playing it out was perfectly fine. No reason not to play it in the early game. Prism giving us a nice draw, and Blood not really playing anything. Not that they really can, because Red Hot Boots is pretty good at dealing with early game pressure from Blood and Forest. But absolutely no need to play it. And a perfect opportunity to play Tribunal, as Tribunal will be proccable pretty easily in the following few turns. I mean, Healing Prayer alone puts Tribunal right at 1, if we decided to use that in the next turn as an example.
Shall I grant your wish? Toodaloo!
Plus we now have plenty of cards. And do decide just to play the boots. I mean, it sets up to kill snakes. Since we know they're playing a serpent deck, it makes it easy to predict.
This thirst, quench them.
And buying time is something this deck does pretty well. So Tribunal kills one thing, whichever one it kills is going to be good. And being able to just play out as many amulets as I kind of want while setting up for a Avatar next turn, and then hopefully a Time Spiral turn 8 at the worst case. Or a massive damage wall for the turn after. So no point playing snakes here, especially when Boots is on board. The Boots will proc next turn regardless, and wipe their board completely clean. So I didn't really see why they decided to do that there. And sorry, my mistake, Boots doesn't whiteboard wipe. Boots deals 1 damage randomly. My mistake. Anyway. It still basically left them with nothing, which, same situation.
Time for fun and games. Stop!
So we have an 8-6, we've got March Hare if we need it.
Golden Wing will end you.
Or we just use Sentinel and go face. Plenty of ways to go lethal. Plenty of good options. Now for a little bit of a mirror match sort of deck. So this person's playing pretty much the exact same thing I am.
Is fighting and despair
Nothing
all
too
you know?
crazily exciting.
May eternal peace be yours.
If I mirror matches to be kind of awkward, most players are aiming for their avatar to come out as quickly as possible, while at the same time setting up to banish their opponents. And I'm sure most people are playing Avatar Grail and not Avatar Seraph, as Avatar Seraph is pretty straightforward, because Seraph will only proc once off Avatar and not continually proc, which is to be expected. So we mirror the Beast Calls. Fortunately I'm going first, so in a mirror match going first is a pretty good advantage to have.
Let me show you something.
Not so lucky. I don't really have anything I can do other than playing the Tribunal. But playing Tribunal on low drops is never really a problem when you're running this deck.
Crystals of snow shimmer.
And fortunately the Priest and Snow White line up pretty much perfectly with each other.
Your evil deeds end now.
I mean, we get to banish it, they get no real advantage off it, and we can pretty much just smack him in the face as much as we want.
Stop!
only going to survive a couple of turns. We get Avatar out, and we already have Grail in hand. So they're your main kind of combo-y type cards. Avatar and Grail. Make sure you got enough hand space to take in all the Grail cards, which sometimes can be an issue.
What in the...
So our opponent just goes for as much clearance as they can. Doesn't make a big difference when we've got another Priest to clear it. Could have also used March's Hair, but I feel like Priest was just the better option when I can use Avatar and March's Hair to get 2 followers in one turn. So doing it that way just felt a little better to me. And next turn we guarantee a kill on something, so it's really going to make it harder for them to choose to play cards that will really contest the board. Which they don't, they just pretty much ignore playing followers. So I get the free Avatar play on 7 with nothing to really contest me. Meaning they've got to find a way to deal with this in banishments.
Let me show you something.
Which isn't always easy.
The real battle begins. I'm strong because I'm good.
Fortunately, if they do have what they need, they will get rid of this. But instead, double Heavenly Hounds. Pretty much useless against this Avatar.
Lost in wayward ones.
I probably would have been better off playing the Tribunal, but I did go for the draw. Knowing that next turn, either way, I'm in a pretty good spot, especially with the proc on the Beast Call. So even if they banish the Avatar, that's pretty much all they're going to be able to do. So I was going to be pretty positive advantage-wise. So definitely some room for improvement, as most of the decks around in this first week will have. This one's not too bad. I actually really enjoyed playing it. It was a bit more consistent than I had with the Rune Chimera deck, even though the Chimera deck had a lot more outlandish combo plays. This one was a little more subtle in the way that you would deal with things, which I didn't mind too much. I also might try and mess around with an Avatar variant of Seraph, or maybe even just a control amulet type deck, but we'll have to wait and see how that goes. So if you guys want to check this deck out, the deck list will be in the description below. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more content, and I will catch you guys next time. See ya.